You there? Push that button. Freddie?
Yeah.
Hey, I was talking about Jonathan Scope. He's getting better with every game, isn't he?
Well, yeah, he's told you in the wintertime, this kid is he's a real player, and he had his first 4-hit game last night, and the O's, after starting off 1-4, have won 7 of the last 10 and are over 500 and playing some good baseball.
Yeah, Tillman wasn't as sharp as normal last night, but it was cold out there. He was lucky to get through the 5 innings, but...
Tillman was on extra rest, which may have taken him out of his rhythm, and when temperatures in the 30s, pitching is a lot of touch and feel, and it's hard to really get a good feel of the baseball when it's in the 30s, but he gutted it out, and Buck was, as Palmer said, had a long leash with him last night, giving him the opportunity to get the win, and he kept us in the game, and Lackey had a bad game, his second bad game in a row, and Birds like playing in Fenway.
Hey, Freddie, this is just my opinion. On Wednesday, it was Tillman's turn to pitch. All right, and obviously with the rain out on Tuesday, they skipped it, and they moved Chen into the role. When you have a number one, do you pitch him on that day to keep him in rhythm and to get more starts from him? Because by not pitching that day, by the end of the year, he could lose one start.
Yeah, but you also have to look at the fact that with an off day on Thursday, you're really pushing everybody back to 6-7 days off sometimes. Some of these guys, so you gotta. It's a balancing act. It's
tough because he is our number one. Whether he is a number one or not, he is our number one.
Well, I think he's a number one. I mean, if you look at his record since he came back up in July of a couple of years ago, when he came back up from the minors and stayed in the majors, has one of the best records in all of baseball.
Yeah, I mean, all of a sudden now he walks to the mound and you begin to have that confidence factor that maybe you didn't have.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when he goes to the mound, you're thinking winning.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And, of course, the Orioles are showcased Sunday night playing the Red Sox on national TV at, 8:30 on ESPN?
It's 7 o'clock. They moved the time up because the teams play at 11 o'clock on Monday on Patriots Day in Boston.
Okay, so they play at 11. Now, are the Orioles in that game?
Yeah.
So it's a 4-game series.
It's a 4-game series.
Yeah.
This afternoon, tomorrow night at 7 and 11 o'clock on Monday morning.
All the times don't make sense, but what else is new? That's baseball. Freddie, left-handed winner at the Masters, Bubba Watson. Where is that advantage for the left-hander?
Well, the course seems to set up for the fade from a left-handed hitter rather than a right-handed player that draws the ball well or fades it. And 6 out of the last 12, I think, now the Masters won by lefties.
When Tiger was dominating the Masters for those few years, back when he first turned pro, they changed the course. They said they de-Tigerized it.
Well, they lengthened it, which made no sense because Tiger still hit the ball further than anybody else.
Yeah, but that was for whatever reason, that was their attack. I don't know if you can change a course that much unless you start putting rough in on the fade side. But that one drive that Bubba Watson had where he hit it 360, and I think he was, 130 away. He used a gap wedge, and that's a par 5. I'm not sure. Something's wrong there.
Well, there's not a lot of... It's not that everybody's doing that. I mean, he's one of the very few that can do that, and he drove the ball really well. That was a strong part of his game, was driving the ball during the Masters. I mean, he was in the middle of the fairway quite a bit.
He certainly played like a guy who had won before. And from about, the 9th or 10th hole on, once he got the lead, you kind of felt like he wasn't going to give it up.
Well, nobody was closing, and I give Jordan Spieth a lot of credit for a first-time Masters performance to shoot par in his last round and maintain tie for second. I think that spoke very, very highly of the kid.
Yeah, I agree, especially with some of the problems he had. He seemed to, he shot par, though. He had a chip in from a Sandy, and just... he played great. I mean, he was disappointed he didn't win a major, and he would have been the youngest one ever to win the Masters, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but, most people in his situation, that young or that inexperienced, come to the last round and fall apart. And he had 2 bad holes, but to shoot par where nobody else was really lighting it up that much, He played exceptionally well, and I think for golf it would have been helped golf a lot more had he won, or had Freddie Couples, who started off the day with 2 birdies, had he won rather than Bubba. The viewing audience was the smallest since 2004, and just shows you the impact that Tiger has on the average fan.
Yeah,
when it comes to watching golf. It
was back to strictly golf fans, all right, who were watching it, and the numbers were. I did hear that it was way down. Maybe it was, could it have been 50% of last year? Was it that down?
I don't know what it was, but I know it's the smallest crowd since 2004 to watch the tournament, so it doesn't speak much for the players today other than they're great players, but nobody creates any real buzz.
Let's talk a bit about the meal money that was added by the NCAA for Division I athletes. Long overdue, Freddie. When Etzel was on the show about a week ago or 10 days ago, he was speaking about how a scholarship should include the full experience of college, and how, certain kids don't have any money whatsoever in their pocket, and it's hard for them to act like a normal college student. And I think had this been addressed, years ago, that maybe this unionization issue might have never come up.
Well, I mean, it's like in professional sports, college sports has become an enormous business. It's $1 billion business. And the kids, one thing they're not allowed to do is take a part-time job while they're in college, which kind of makes sense in a way, because between practice and studying and going to class, there's not a lot of time, but a lot of these kids don't have money.
Yeah, and it's a shame. I'm glad the NCAA straightened it out. They also gave them money for snacks and just something that makes sense. I think it's out of fear from the union, and that I think that vote takes place on the 25th. So they're not out of the woods yet. There's so much. I mean, there's a lawsuit that's been going for a couple of years. I think Ed O'Bannon was one of the primary people with their depiction of on these video games. Right.
That and I think it was Chris Webber said he's walking around with no money in college, and people are buying his jersey for $100. A lot of hypocrisy in the student athlete is where the NCAA puts it.
Well, I was talking before on my show in D.C. that the one and done rule to me has got to go. It should be just like baseball. You can leave out of high school and go to the pros if you want, but if you go to college, it should be for 3 years. I think the one and done thing is just eventually it's going to take college basketball down. It's just ridiculous. And
I think Silver, the NBA commissioner, said that one of his big priorities now is at least to raise the limit another year to have kids stay at least 2 years in college. I think it helps the college game. It helps the pro game.
The funniest thing about the helping the college game is, what do you have except if a kid stays 2 years in college, they come out so much better for the pros that it's a joke. I mean, look how the Harrisons improved over the year. I mean, by the time the tournament came around, they were playing like their billing was. If they had one more year at Kentucky, they would come to the pros ready to play.
Why is it that there's such a controversy about in the NBA and bringing in kids and kids only staying a one and done, where a guy like Jordan Spieth, who's 20, came out last year after a year in college?
Because I'll tell you why. Because a kid doesn't have to go to college to play on the PGA Tour.
Well, they don't have to go to college to play on.
No. Why in the world do you have to go to college to play in the NBA? I mean, where is it written that a kid who's 18 and ready to play in the NBA? The basketball is one of the few sports where and there's very, very, very few that are ready for the NBA. And I think that if they had the one and done, if they eliminated the one and done rule, I think there'd be less kids trying to go straight to the NBA, because they're going to see that it's futile to try and go. Yeah, there's Kobe, there's LeBron, there's Garnett. There's been, a bunch of guys, but for the most part, most of them have not worked out. And then they go to college for 3 years, then they're ready. But for that super talent who's got the wherewithal and the ability, why is he denied the right to choose a living that he can do.
Well, let me ask you this: why would they deny them the right, after the second year instead of make the third year? You don't see. There's a lot of these whiz kids that in Silicon Valley that they went 1 year of college and went in business and became billionaires. It should, the reality is it should be if the NBA should have the smarts to say, these kids are too young, we not draft them. But how do you deny somebody the opportunity to work if they're good?
You don't deny them. I mean, that's the American way. And if they try and it doesn't work out, then they should have had better advice. They should have realized the odds were way against them. But I think that as that goes on, you're going to see, if the rule does change, I think it will bolster college basketball again. And to me, that's the best thing for the NBA. Because
the NBA, if not, should invest more in their minor league system, because right now college really is their minor league.
You're right. Well, they tried to do that with the D League, and you just don't hear much about it. Guys go there, and it's certainly not like baseball, I tell you that, without question. By the way, getting back to Jonathan Scope, because I'm fascinated with this guy, what happens when Manny comes back?
Well, my gut feeling is the way Scope is hitting the ball now, I think he's like 12 for his last 28 with multiple, he's got like 6 or 7 extra base hits. He's up in RBIs. I got to play him at second base, and probably either Lombardozzi becomes your utility man or Flaherty becomes your utility man. And
the other guy gets sent home, I guess.
Well, it's either Lombardozzi or Flaherty. I would guess Flaherty would be sent down because Lombardozzi is a little more accomplished major league player, but the way Scope's hitting the ball, and he certainly can play defense, I don't see the advantage of him going down to the minor leagues.
No, I don't see it at all. And defensively, is he a strong second baseman?
He supposedly is a very good defensive. I mean, he's had one bad game in the majors playing at third.
That's not fair, though.
And that happens to players, but since that point, he's made no errors and hasn't affected his hitting at all. So, no, he's supposedly a very accomplished defensive player. He came up in baseball as a shortstop, which is usually your best defensive player in the infield. So he's got the tools. And then in the minors with Manny, he was always playing second alongside of Manny at short.
It's hard to keep a guy like that out of the lineup. And somewhere in there is some power. We know that. Oh,
there's definitely power. If you look at Scope, his progression in the minors, he would, every time he moved up a level, he would start off slowly, get acclimated, the average would move up, and once his confidence with making contact, the power came. And he showed power in the last year. He hit the one home run to dead center field, about 440 feet. So he's going to be, there's much more upside with him than Flaherty or Lombardozzi, that's for sure.
All right, let me bring up a subject that probably will start being talked about this week if it continues. Are you beginning to get a little concerned about Chris Davis's lack of power and swinging at horrible pitches?
Not really. I mean, here's maybe an example also of guys starting slowly. Miguel Cabrera, who's the best hitter in baseball, going into last night's game, had 1 home run and 6 RBIs.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
And the weather's been pretty chilly up north since they've come up, and cold weather, it's just hard to hit them. It's hard to play baseball in cold weather because it's so much of a feel game with your hands.
Yeah, I just see him reaching for those low outside pitches, and Adam Jones the same thing. The Orioles are 8-7 without tremendous contributions from Davis or Jones.
And the one thing that the Orioles that depended so much upon last year was home runs. This year they've hit less home runs, but they're starting to hit the ball, making contact. It's just hard to really get in a groove hitting for most guys when the weather's cold.
Well, today marks 10% of the season, so I guess it should be revisited after 20% of the season, another 16 games or so to see where if Chris has come out of it. But no, I take my chances with him. But he has hit a lot of sacrifice fly balls, and it seems like the Orioles' timely hitting has gotten much better over the past few days. And
and Davis has also walked more. I mean, but one interesting thing about from baseball, 2 of the biggest contracts signed of the offseason, Cabrera, who's again off to a 1 home run, 6 RBI start. The other, Clayton Kershaw, who got like $1 zillion. He's had 1 start for the Dodgers.
Yeah, well, that's when you put $30 million a year into somebody. It just doesn't add up. It really doesn't. And Davis comes back and has one of those kind of years. 35, 40 home runs and the 100 RBIs. And
he'll be getting the $25 million a year for 6 or 7 years.
That's exactly right. He's going to be right in that ball game. But one thing you got to look at the Orioles so far, their opening schedule has not been a picnic. I mean, between Boston, Detroit, the Yankees, Tampa, Toronto, there's been no cupcakes so far.
No, and I think maybe the next 18 out of the next 20 games are against teams in the East. So it's a good time right now to get going. I mean, they've won 3 in a row, 7 out of the last 10 after starting off 1-4, and they're getting good. Their pitching's been much more improved, and their bats are picking up. So if they can make some headway now, it'll give them a good foundation for the season.
How about the Yankees pitching? Is that really for real with Tanaka and Pineda?
Well, Tanaka certainly to me is the real. I saw him in spring training a couple of times. You could see right away this guy knows how to pitch. He's got great stuff. Pineda's pitched lights out. He's got a very live arm. Kuroda's a very good pitcher, and right now CC is probably their fourth best starter.
Yeah, he's the weakness. I mean, it's a staff can take you a long way, and the Yankees seem to have it when you go shutout or whatever Pineda and Tanaka did against the Cubs. You're just not going to lose that many games.
The weak point for the Yankees might be their infield and might be their bullpen. Last night they got a 4-0 lead against Tampa Bay and got blown out.
Yeah, well, the bullpen will kill you, and age can kill you too with that team. That team is so old that.
Their infield, most guys come out in a walker. I mean, and Teixeira, like a lot of Oriole fans, were really upset that the Orioles didn't sign him and didn't make a legitimate effort to make him. Teixeira hasn't played much ball the last couple of years and hasn't played at all this year, very little this year so far. Yeah,
he gave the Yankees about a good year and a half, and that was about it. He hasn't played. But so today's game is at 1 o'clock, you said?
1:35 today, 7 o'clock tomorrow, 11 o'clock on Monday.
Who's pitching today for the Orioles?
I think Pappas.
Pappas?
Milt Pappas.
Milt Pappas? Who for the Red Sox? Jim Lomborg?
I think it's either Lomborg or Ike DeLock, I think, might be going.
All right, Freddie. Thanks a lot for checking in this morning.
All right, Maven. Have a good one.
Take care. Milt Pappas. We all remember him, the great trade with Cincinnati Reds. All right, let's head out to our first break. But before we do, when you select a professional, you always look to the backgrounds of the persons involved, particularly involving their experience, competence, and established performance. In Maryland, there's only one number one leader with regard to personal injury claims. That's the firm of Science & Kirk. Science & Kirk have handled more auto accident cases than any law firm in the history of the state. Donald and his 3 sons make a formidable team representing their clients. You can call their hotline 24/7 at 1-800-LAWYERS for assistance. That's Science & Kirk, 1-800-LAWYERS for assistance. And remember, Science & Kirk presents In the Nest starting in September. Preview of every Raven game on Sunday morning at 9 o'clock right here on CBS Sports Radio 1300.
Baltimore now has a 24-hour-a-day all-news radio station. Get traffic weekdays every 5 minutes and nights and weekends every 10 minutes. Plus weather every 4 minutes and the latest news around the clock. Preset your car radio to All News 99.1 WNEW. Baltimore now has a 24-hour-a-day all-news radio station. Get traffic weekdays every 5 minutes and nights and weekends every 10 minutes. Plus weather every 4 minutes and the latest news around the clock. Preset your car radio to All News 99.1 WNEW.
Vision Source of Linthicum and Dr. Stephen Polikoff offer the latest in vision care technology. New wavefront guided technology creates high-resolution eyeglass lenses. Vision Source of Linthicum announced it is now using wavefront technology to prescribe eyeglass lenses that enable the patient to see in high resolution without the surgery. Dr. Polikoff uses the Z-View Aberrometer, the latest in wavefront technology, to quickly and accurately map a patient's eyes for irregularities that can cause vision problems such as distortions, glare, and halo around lights. This exam produces an eye print. The eye print is like a fingerprint of the eye, and each person's is unique. The eyes-on lenses are then made based upon your personal eye print. Dr. Polikoff, located at 413 South Camp Mead Road in Linthicum, has been serving the community for over 30 years. The practice specializes in optimizing vision and has never seen a lens in all that time that is produced fast results like the eyes-on lens. Call 410-859-3111 to schedule an appointment.
Access Title Company, LLC, brings to you experience, relationship, and peace of mind. All great reasons to choose Access Title Company as your residential and commercial real estate settlement company. Choosing a reputable, experienced title company is crucial to a smooth settlement process. Our staff of attorneys and experienced personnel is committed to helping you through the complete process with personal attention, competitive rates, and prompt service. Access Title Company goes anywhere in the state of Maryland to perform your settlement at no additional cost to you. That's why we're Access Title. Please call Melanie, our operations manager, at 410-363-8785 for additional information. That's Access Title Company at 410-363-8785.
There's no better place in Baltimore to buy your new or used car from than Coons Ford on Security Boulevard, across from Security Mall. Over the years, I have purchased many cars and trucks for GM Dennis Colatzos, receiving the best price, service, and comfort in dealing with a top-notch executive. Coons Ford Turp Talk listeners can view their inventory at CoonsFordBaltimore.com. Coons Ford carries a huge inventory of Motor Trend's Car of the Year, the Fusion, Hybrid Escapes, the 35-mile-per-gallon Focus, Mustangs, Expeditions, and of course the F-Series trucks. Coons Ford simply likes to make a little bit of money many times. What a great place to buy your new Ford. That's Coons Ford of Baltimore, 6970 Security Boulevard, across from Security Square Mall. Take exit 17 off of 695. Remember, when you're talking cars, you're talking Coons.
Call 410-298-3800.
Kelly Exchange is your one-stop shop for individual and family health insurance coverage. On KellyExchange.com, you can learn about healthcare reform, find out if you qualify for a subsidy, get quotes, compare insurance plans, and purchase coverage. With over 36 years of experience in the insurance industry, KellyExchange.com is the only website you need to help you navigate the complexities and confusion of healthcare reform and purchase quality insurance for you and your family. Visit KellyExchange.com today. The newest of the 3 Bagby restaurants has just opened, and everyone is raving about Fleet Street Kitchen. Fleet Street Kitchen specializes in an organic menu, and all of its food comes locally or from nearby areas. The veggies are all from Cunningham Farms. Blake Smith and his dad, David, have created a magnificent trio of 3 adjacent restaurants. Bagby's Pizza's 1010, and now on 1012 Fleet Street, the Fleet Street Kitchen. Call 410-244-5830 for a reservation, and remember, there is free valet parking on weekends. Baltimore, listen up. If you want crabs, you have to head to the Costas Inn on North Point Boulevard. There is no comparison in all of Maryland for the greatest crabs and crab cakes ever. Costas also serves unbelievable steamed shrimp, Greek salads, and steaks for lunch and dinner. Nick, Pete, and Costas Triantopoulos run the perfect restaurant to go with family and friends. Give Costas Inn a call at 410-477-1975 and tell them the Turp Talk guy sent you. This season, the 2013 champion Bayhawks and Lexus are giving away an ES350 to one lucky season ticket holder at the last game of the season. Every season ticket purchase will amount to one entry into the giveaway. 2014 season tickets are available and going fast. Call the box office at 866-99-HAWKS or visit us at www.thebayhawks.com to purchase your seats to all the action today. The season kicks off May 3rd at Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. Don't miss out.
Welcome back to Sports Maven, presented by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Now, once again, here's Bruce Posner, Sports Maven.
All right, back here for segment 2 of the Sports Maven. No one ever asked to be injured. When this situation is thrust upon you or a member of your family, you have a right and duty to protect yourself and your family from financial harm. Science and Kirk will provide immediate assistance in getting medical care, securing lost wages, and advising on property damage and claim analysis. you can call Science at Kirk's free injury hotline 24/7 at 1-800-LAWYERS. Call Science at Kirk at 1-800-LAWYERS if you are injured and have a personal injury claim you wish to discuss with an attorney. I have known Donald Science for over 50 years, and there is no one better to represent you than my man Donald and his sons. A great firm, great people. We were talking about Jonathan Scope. I got back into fantasy baseball this year, really as a just a side partner to Jeremy Kahn, my good friend from the Garceau show. You know, Jeremy and Scott, phenomenal show. And Jeremy took it by the reins, and I just sit around and second guess. So for those of you who know what fantasy baseball is, we have Jonathan Scope on our team. And yesterday, Jeremy had him rested. So it was my first second guess of the year. Darian, you get a shot to look at my roster? All right, he's checking now. You there? I'm not hearing you, so. All right, anyway, so we didn't have Scope up, and that's a big loss when it comes to fantasy baseball. However, we're doing great. Jeremy did a great job selecting the team. It's always tough when you're a new team coming into an established league. And this league, it's like been forever. You know, it's got Mark Bond and Ricky Lamb and Stan DeFan, goes on, and just guys who really know how to play the game. All right. I want to talk about Michael Campanaro. I don't know if you know who he is, but what an unbelievable pick he would be for the Ravens. He tried out for him a couple days ago, and the one thing, he's from River Hill High School in Maryland, and the one thing about Campanaro is he's got that Wes Welker look. He gets open, he just has it. And I know the game against Maryland, he had about 10 or 11 catches. You know he's going to get the ball. You know he's your possession receiver, and yet he's able to get open all the time. Does he fit in on this team? I don't know. But he ran the 40 dash in 4.46 at the Combine, 39-inch vertical leap. He's met informally with the Ravens at the Combine, also had a meeting with them at the Senior Bowl. Caught a record 229 passes for the Deacons, finished with 2,506 yards and 14 TDs. Who's he represented by? A good friend of the Ravens, and that, of course, is Drew Rosenhaus. So Drew represents him, and Drew's had tremendous success in negotiating with the Ravens. It would be a great fit. When does he go? I don't know, maybe second or third round, but this guy is something. He would be real excited about playing with the Ravens, of course. But remember that name, Michael Campanaro. So last Saturday, I watched Hopkins really take apart the Terps and won 11-6. Coach Petramala really had that team ready. They actually beat Maryland on ground balls, which brings up an interesting statistic about last night's game. I was in Annapolis, home of the Bayhawks, home of Navy, of course, their field. What a great, great venue for lacrosse. They had 8,800 people there last night to watch Hopkins play Navy, and Navy's got to be the best 4-8 team in the history of lacrosse. Navy won the face-offs 10-4. And he won the ground balls 27-10. Now, I know Petro had to be happy about winning the game, but he's got to be concerned about that. If I'm looking at that stat right, that's what I saw. I was there. If somebody was there and watched that game, tell me if I was wrong. But why did they win the game? Because Eric Schneider, that's Doc Schneider's little baby brother from UMass, Eric Schneider had 17 saves. And not only did he have 17 saves, he was in great position when Navy had shots where they had moved the ball around well. What an absolutely fantastic game. And Navy got to be the best 4-8 team ever. And Maryland plays them on May 3rd. which will probably be Navy's last game of the year because they're not going to make. They're probably not going to make the playoffs or make the tournament, and I'd hate to play them under those circumstances. They are some kind of like, you always get that from Navy. They're always, maximum effort, maximum everything. But they were great last night. So Maryland today in lacrosse heads out to Notre Dame on a game that when you're 9-2, you're number 7, you're number 2 RPI. All the numbers coincide for Maryland to make the tournament, but they need for their own swagger to win this game. Last week probably was the result of their 4 freshmen being virtually shut out. Canizero and Heacock, Matt Rambo, and Rotance did not score. Maybe they weren't ready for that kind of stage. Maybe it's a lot of maybes, but they didn't make it happen. Joe Locasio got 2 goals for Maryland, and Henry West had 2. But they just didn't. Maryland didn't have it. Chanichuk still had 3 assists, but Hopkins was a better team last week. Pellegrino had a great game, and it was pretty chippy out there toward the end, but you never would have thought Maryland would have lost in that nature. But that's exactly how they lost last year, and that's what concerns me, that Maryland's 6-on-6 scoring was very weak last year. Now, Maryland, they won the exposition. I thought Charlie Rafa dominated Drew Kennedy last week, 15-6. And made Petramala switch to Michael Pellegrino, his long pole midway through. And that's not something he wants to do. They know that Kennedy's their guy, but then again, he got beat again yesterday. He got beat again against Albany. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with Maryland, but I had asked Tillman about, what are your adjustments? What are you going to do so what happened last year doesn't happen? Today's a great test. That game's at high noon on ESPNU. Maryland against Notre Dame. Super game. And this past week, Maryland I take that back. Scott Spinelli left Maryland in what was called a lateral move to BC. Said he wanted to go home to BC. Maybe that's the case, but I know Spinelli's been looking for a head coaching job. It's not a lateral move. I've been to the Silvio Conte Forum many, many times. Well, I'll say 3 or 4 anyway. And if they get 200 students to show up, it's a lot. Maybe against Duke or Carolina they get them, but they don't get them when the rest of the league comes in, because I've been there. And one time I was there on a Saturday. I might have saw 15 students there. And, Maryland gets criticized when only 4,000 show up, or 3,000. So is that lateral? I don't think so, to be honest with you. By the way, Alyssa Thomas drafted 4th in the WNBA. Congratulations to her. All right, we're going to be back in a few minutes here on CBS Sports Radio 1300. Call it if you wish, 410-481-1300. 410-481-1300 for our last segment. Your first choice for filling prescriptions in the Baltimore area should be the James Pharmacy, a Health Mart pharmacy. As a Health Mart pharmacy, the James Pharmacy has a personal commitment to its communities, is locally owned, and the pharmacists know there is nothing more important than your family's well-being. Located for the last century at 1117 Light Street in Federal Hill, the James Pharmacy is owned and operated by Avi Pelta, a University of Maryland Pharmacy School graduate. Though located in Federal Hill, the James Pharmacy delivers at no charge to the entire Baltimore metro area. Outside of Baltimore, no problem. The James Pharmacy will UPS your prescriptions on a moment's notice. Open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 9 to 3. Call the James Pharmacy, a Health Mart pharmacy, at 410-752-5810. Remember, Health Mart, caring for you and about you. the Baltimore Neurosurgery and Spine Center, whose goal is to provide the highest quality of care to our patients. We strive to apply leading-edge treatment strategies, including complex spine or brain surgery, interventional pain management, and physical therapy. The group is led by Dr. Ira Garanzik, who is joined by Dr. James Conway, Dr. H. Christopher Lawson, Dr. James Frazier in the field of neurological and spine surgery. Dr. Seth Kaufman specializes in interventional pain management. Baltimore Neurosurgery and Spine Center is located at 5051 Greenspring Avenue. Call them for an appointment at 410-664-3680. That's 410-664-3680.
When you need insurance, whether it's personal or for your business, there's only one company in the Baltimore area that you should deal with, and that's Mayer & Steinberg and its owner, Paul Robinson. Mayer & Steinberg is a 55-year-old insurance agency, family-owned and operated. We specialize in property, liability, workers' compensation, and auto insurance for the following industries: painting, plumbing, HVAC, electrical and paving contractors, door and window installers, landscape contractors, shopping center owners, furniture installers, and hotels, motels. Since Mayer & Steinberg provides coverage through some 30 carriers like the Travelers, the Hartford, CNA, and Zurich, we can shop your current insurance coverages and in many instances save you premium and better your existing coverages. Remember, call Paul Robinson at Mayer & Steinberg, 410-484-7000. That's 410-484-7000.
The Comans Brothers in Superior Tours, $32 to either the Trop or Caesar's Palace, and you get $30 back. It only costs you a deuce to go to AC. $63 round trip to New York City for a one-day trip. You got to go and come back the same day, but it only costs $63. You can't beat that. 410-602-1704. That's Superior Tours and the Comans Brothers. 410-602-1704. I just discovered a great little neighborhood gourmet pizza and Italian-type restaurant in the Harbor area. Bagby Pizza on 1006 Fleet Street is just a great, fun place to have lunch or dinner 7 days a week. Bagby's features gourmet pizza, pastas, and salads at more than reasonable prices. Service is quick, there's plenty of seating, happy hour specials Monday through Friday, 4 to 7 p.m. But most important, the food is superb. Bagby Pizza, 410-605-0444. Turf Talk is proud to welcome Glen Burnie Transmissions as a new sponsor. Located at 7166 Ritchie Highway in Glen Burnie. For over 50 years, Glen Burnie Transmissions offers free towing from the D.C. area. Transmissions for all imports and domestics. Go to www.gbt-online.com for a quotation or call President Mark Schwartzman at 800-458-2661. That's 800-458-2661. Glen Burnie Transmissions.
Tune in to 105.7 The Fans Baltimore Baseball tonight and play the first pitch payout for your chance to win $1,000. Sponsored by Glen Burnie Motorsports, Pizza Bowlies, and Sport Clips.
This is the Sports Maven Show, presented by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Now, here's the Maven himself, Bruce Posner.
All right, welcome back to our third and today's final segment of Coons Ford presents the Sports Maven. And as always, we thank Coons Ford for their support. Dennis Kalatzis, a good friend, will be coming on soon to talk NFL draft because that's his wheelhouse. He's got that down cold. And it's very interesting to see who the Ravens might go for. It was a listing of quarterbacks who could possibly fall to that third round. And should the Ravens take a backup quarterback? Yes, definitely. I definitely feel so. And we'll see what happens. So the NBA today, 4 big games, and naturally they got it wrong. They got the 2 great games in the afternoon and the 2 weaker games at night. The Nets and the Raptors, super game. Brooklyn, don't sell them short with their experience with Paul Pierce. They wound up 44 and 38, and they're going to Toronto to play probably the upstart of the East, and that's the Raptors. With DeRozan and Kyle Lowry And my guy, Gravis Vasquez, and Terrence Ross, the guy who never got to Maryland, went to Montrose Christian, but he's in the NBA. I'd like to make up an all-star team, Darian, of the guys who did not go to Maryland and are in the NBA. It'd be pretty good. Anyway, Warriors and the Clippers. That's the game of the day. That's the series of all the series that's being played. Golden State and the Clippers. That's today at 3:30. These two teams do not like each other. Klay Thompson has accused Blake Griffin of being the best flopper in the NBA. And Doc Rivers came to Blake's support right away, saying that, it's defense and Blake's involved himself defensively. It's going to be interesting to see how those calls go. When you got Stephon Curry and you got Klay Thompson and you got Stevie Blake backing them up, and the guy you might not have is Bogut, and Bogut's going to cause them to lose this series. Look out for the Clippers. I really think if the Clippers survive this first series, I have a feeling that they might make some real damage. All right, 57-25 for the season, 34-7 at home. Look out for the Clippers. Then tonight, Hawks and the Pacers. Hawks are in the playoffs with a 38-44 record. That should not be allowed. All right, and the Pacers have been in free fall lately. Who knows? Lance Stevenson averaging 13.8 points a game. Grizzlies and the Thunder. I heard a lot of people picking the Grizzlies, a playoff-tested team with Randolph, Conley at the point. I don't see it. And Gasol, he's been playing great. That's Gasol's brother, Marc Gasol. We shall see. Of course, the Thunder really depends. We know we're going to get it from Durant. It really depends on how Westbrook plays. So I'll give you my predictions. Stick my neck on the line here. I like the Nets over the Raptors in this series. I like the Clippers over the Warriors. I like the Thunder over the Grizzlies, and obviously the Pacers over the Hawks. All right, now we'll take a look at tomorrow's games. And what do we got? We have, let's see here. Sunday, it's the 19th. Saturday's the 19th. Let me go to this. There it is. The 4 games tomorrow are the Mavericks at the Spurs. Mavericks just don't have it in my eyes. So they were 49-33. I think the Spurs, it'll be the Spurs and the Clippers in the finals, if you ask me. Bobcats and the Heat. It's just, I don't care how well Charlotte's been playing. They might get a game, but I'll look for the Heat to roll over in that, provided Wade plays. If they continue to hold out Wade, I'm not sure where they have him on the roster, but the Rockets and the Trailblazers. Wow. I'm a Portland guy on this one. I just, it's hard for me to say that any team with Dwight Howard is going to win. I like Aldridge. I like everything about Portland. But I guess we'll see that game, that toss-up, that series really a toss-up. I would go with the Trailblazers. And then you have the Wizards and the Bulls. As much as I like the Wizards, I love Wall and Beal together. Trevor Booker and Gortat and Nene's back. I just think that Chicago, the X factor in this series is Yannick Noah. To me, he's just one of the best players in the game. Yeah, this will be tight. This might go the distance, but I like the Bulls in that series. And that starts tomorrow. The Wizards are on at 7 o'clock on TNT. It's a TNT doubleheader. And then the Trailblazers and the Rockets. And in the afternoon, Mavericks at the Spurs, and naturally the Heat is on the network game. So, when all is said and done, I'm going to go with the Clippers over the Heat for the NBA championship. That's really going out of line on the Clippers, but what the heck? That's what you got to do sometimes. course, the Aldon Smith story, that is almost unbelievable about yelling bomb out in the airport. I think that I read where the 49ers are going to pass on Aldon Smith, which does not surprise me at all. The Ravens, how do they get an exhibition schedule like they got? Makes very little sense to me. Like go to New Orleans and Dallas and then have San Fran fly all the way over here to play us, But I tell you what I love about that San Fran game. We're going to welcome home Anquan Bolden with the kind of applause and accolades that he deserves after he probably plays one series and leaves a game. I've been through my rant about the NFL exhibition games being the biggest joke that there is. It seems like only game 3 is the one that matters. And this year it's the Redskins, so maybe they'll play that game. I just can't understand how they have 4 exhibition games. And you talk about injuries, a risk of injuries, and how teams are decimated by the end of the year. What the heck? Play 2 less games then. These exhibition games are ridiculous. Up the ticket prices a little bit. Don't play these 2 games. It's stupid. If you're not going to add 2 games to the schedule, I'd like to see 1 game added to the schedule. Make it a 17-game season, and that would be every team would add its rivalry game. Of course, the Ravens would play the Redskins. You'd have to go cross-conference, but you could do it. You could make it. You could find it. And then give 1 more game and do away with the 3rd exhibition game. Play 2, then get ready to go. And I just, increase the pay level, whatever you have to do. Paying anybody for the exhibition games are a joke. They're doing interviews by the second quarter with their pads off. It's ridiculous. And then you go through the whole season, and then the kid everybody wanted who played phenomenal gets cut. Can't think of his name. 410-481-1300. I think he's on Jacksonville now. Bobby Rainey gets cut. Well, when they play exhibition, he was the only guy who showed some stuff in the exhibition season, and he doesn't make the cut. Don't get it. Really, really don't get it. So the Orioles bounce back today with a game against Boston. 3 games against Boston. Wow, would that be unreal if they could look at it like a mini series and maybe get 2 of these games? Orioles are off to in my eyes, a great start with the schedule they've played. So I'm impressed by it. And let's see who's chucking for the O's today. We have, as we move up the scale, the Orioles. Bud Norris is pitching today against Dubront. So that's where the Orioles have problems when they face these pitchers. He's 1-2 with 6.75 ERA. They hit the hell out of Lackey, Verlander, Nova. They hit every pitcher that's tough, and then they get to some of these stiffs and they get maneuvered by him. But I don't think that'll happen today, as the Orioles sit at 8-7 as the season begins. Again, big day out College Park today. Senior day for women's lacrosse. They play Virginia Tech at noon. And, of course, the men are playing Notre Dame at 12 o'clock. And Notre Dame, all right, is 6-4. And we're in that position again where they really need the game. Look, Maryland's 9-2. People were critical last week, and Tillman says, hey, slow up, everybody. We're 9-2. Okay, we're 9-2. Derek, do you have a chance to look at the team yet?
Yes, I did.
All right, give me your assessment of Paz and Khan.
Paz and Khan. Well, I'll say this. I like the Ian Kinsler player there. I like that pick. I think you got to keep him if you're doing dailies. You got to keep him in the lineup. Will be in the lineup every day. But it's funny that when you look at our offense, it doesn't show much, and yet our offensive numbers are strong. Yeah, I'm looking at, you have Derek Jeter, who, obviously in his last years, not really been playing a lot. Brian McCann is an interesting pick. Obviously he's had a start. His start's been kind of up and down. You got your local guy, Hill Delman Young. I like that pick. For your lineup, for surprisingly, some of these guys I'm looking at, For the most part, yeah. I mean, you have a solid lineup.
It's all about consistency and guys playing every day, but a problem when you sit scope. All right, we'll see how it goes. Right now, we're in third place. All right, moving along here. Again, we were talking about that left-hand advantage at the Masters. I just find it strange that it would be a difference. With the way these guys could shape the ball, I guess the fade, the draw, the shape in the draw can get you into a lot of trouble from what I know about golf. When you try and draw and you miss it, you overdo it. And just when you hit a strong fade, it's less likely to get you in trouble. And Bubba Watson certainly has, been able to do it while winning his second green coat. Hats off to Bubba. Disappointed across the board. I had about 8 or 9 picks in there. Nobody even came in the money per se, although I did have Watson in the mix. But Mickelson, what a disappointment. McIlroy barely made the cut. Sergio, I thought, was ready for a run. I'm now convinced, like Montgomery, Sergio will never win a major. Never. So be it. Interesting article I read this morning on Maryland basketball from CBSSports.com about how their recent personnel defections will make them a more cohesive team. Normally, when you have multiple players transfer after a season, it's a bad thing for your program. That's not the case for Maryland. A lot of people took it as a negative, but nothing could be further from the truth. My issues on the negativity of it is I hate to see kids leave who committed to go to Maryland. You need elite talent to win at the highest levels, but you also need elite chemistry. Had Peters, Clear, and Faust all remained, it would have been very difficult for Maryland to achieve any chemistry. With the defection of these 3 players, the Terps' role allocation and cohesiveness should be vastly improved a year from now because this team would have had too many players had they returned. You look at the perimeter guys, Trimble and Wiley come in with Seth, Dez, and Lehman. He has the perimeter, probably better perimeter than anybody in the Big Ten, or certainly as good as maybe everybody except Michigan State. And the big men wise, I mean, it all depends how the 2 7-footers do. Trayvon Reed and Michael Sikowski, who was recruited by Dustin Clark. And as Maryland searches for new assistants for a new assistant for Mark Turgeon, I hope he stays in the Maryland chain. Not necessarily somebody who went to Maryland, somebody familiar with the area. They were making a hard pitch for this kid, Kenny Johnson, who went to Maryland, but we were up against Pitino and Louisville, and it doesn't look good in that regard, trying to get him to stay home. But I think that when you look at UConn, and their 4 coaches are all Maryland guys, all UConn guys, and you look at Turgeon, now he's got Eric Hayes, he's got Juan Dixon on the staff, and these guys just bleed differently when it comes to Maryland. And, we have maybe one day they're looking for new positions and whatever, but I think keeping your assistants there, your local guys, look what it did for Duke, having Johnny Dawkins and Wojo, Tommy Amaker, Chris Collins, all Duke guys. There's a different feeling. I love Turgeon to try and stay in the Maryland family when he looks for his recruits. And as for that, that's going to do it for us today. Again, Maryland, Notre Dame, big game for both teams. Loyola, Johns Hopkins already played last night against Navy, took care of them. Big days for Towson and the rest of the lacrosse world. And Orioles 1 o'clock, Maryland 12 o'clock on ESPNU. We will keep a close eye this coming week on this story about the moving the age to 20 in college basketball. That's what Adam Silver, the new commissioner, wants to do. That would move kids into their sophomore year, so it would be 2 years. At least that's better than one and done. I think it would do a lot for college basketball if this would happen. And I think also it would spread the wealth better because a kid's got to, he knows he's not going to Kentucky per se to get in and get out. With that, we'll end it today. This is Bruce Posner. You've been listening to the Sports Maven. We will see you next Saturday at 9 o'clock. Remember, Terp Talk, Wednesday night at 6.
looking for some real good food from Baltimore, D.C., and Philly, you got to go to the Taste of Three Cities.
The Taste of Three Cities food truck competition is coming to M&T Bank Stadium Saturday, May 31st. Over 50 mobile restaurants from Baltimore, Philly, and D.C. will serve up the region's most desired delectables while you enjoy the Family Fun Zone. Live music from Easy Star All-Stars, the Chris Jacobs Band in Bosley. Get your tickets now at MissionTix.com. The Taste of Three Cities, brought to you by The Gathering.
There's no better place in Baltimore to buy your new or used car than Coons Ford on Security Boulevard, across from Security Mall. Let's talk Coons pre-owned certified used cars. All of our listeners can buy with confidence. Coons Ford of Baltimore has an exclusive 7-day exchange policy. If for any reason whatsoever customers want to exchange a vehicle within 7 days, no problem. Coons Ford simply likes to make a little bit of money many times. That is why they take a lot of time to make sure we have the lowest priced pre-owned vehicles on the web. When our listeners go to our website, CoonsBaltimoreFord.com, they will see all of the outstanding values we have to offer. That's Coons Ford of Baltimore, 6970 Security Boulevard, across from Security Square Mall. Remember, when you're talking cars, you're talking Coons.
Call 410-298-3800.
Dr. Gaber and Associates is more than an internal medicine practice. Both offices are completely equipped with physical therapy services run by an experienced staff of registered physical therapists, Elliot Weiner, Mark Smearman, and Ken Miller. They treat arthritis, sports, auto or work injuries, post-op conditions, and more. After an initial evaluation, a treatment program is individualized and can include modalities such as neuromuscular re-education, ultrasound, muscle stimulation, traction, work conditioning, and balance training. Don't forget it's flu season, and flu shots are now recommended for all age groups, including healthy, low-risk persons. And there's more. Dr. Gaber's practice does not have the dreaded voicemail. You will always talk to a friendly staff member. So if you are in need of a private physician, call 410-986-4400 for Dr. Gaber's office at 341 Calvert Street, and 410-653-8840 for the office at 1838 Green Tree Road in Pikesville. Easy parking at both locations. The therapy office is open Saturdays 9 to 1, and Dr. Gaber accepts nearly all insurances.
Mark Abman and Abman's Delicatessen have been serving Baltimore for over 81 years. It's just a fact that Abman's, open 7 days a week at 1019 East Lombard Street, has the best corned beef and deli in town. But now they've expanded into the catering side. Have a Lombard Street party or use Abman's for your condolence trays. Check it out on abmansdeli.com or call 410-563-2666 and ask for Elaine. I love Abman's Deli. Kelly Exchange is your one-stop shop for individual and family health insurance coverage. On kellyexchange.com, you can learn about healthcare reform, find out if you qualify for a subsidy, get quotes, compare insurance plans, and purchase coverage. With over 36 years of experience in the insurance industry, kellyexchange.com is the only website you need to help you navigate the complexities and confusion of healthcare reform and purchase quality insurance for you and your family. Visit kellyexchange.com today. Viner Consulting helps you make more money for your business. Call them for IT and business help. Everything Viner does points you toward more success. Everyone has a guy, and Viner Consulting is that guy for help with accounting and inventory systems, marketing, website, or cloud services. And Viner is that guy for your computer network and internet needs. Wayne Viner is my guy for making the Terp Talk website go and making my business better. Call Wayne Viner to be that guy for your business. 301-251-2900 or on the web at makeyourcompanywork.com. That's makeyourcompanywork.com. Viner Consulting, 301-251-2900. The Bagby Restaurant Group presents 1010. That's 1010 Restaurant on 1010 Fleet Street, 410-244-6867. This is Southern style cooking. It's a great atmosphere, a great bar, great Sunday brunches, and I want to tell you, the food is off the charts. Blake Smith and his family really know how to present food, food in a restaurant. It is super, just like Bagby's Pizza is. That's 1010 Restaurant on 1010 Fleet Street, 410-244-6867. Cunningham's, part of the Bagby chain, the newest restaurant in town at One Olympic Place in Towson. Free valet parking, open every night. The food there is fantastic. I've been there. Decor, the whole atmosphere at Cunningham's is super. I highly, highly recommend it. But of course, when it's part of the Bagby chain and the Smith family, you know it's going to be a success. 410-339-7730. That's Cunningham's at One Olympic Place in Towson.
The opinions expressed in the preceding paid program do not necessarily represent those of WJZ AM 1300, CBS Radio, its employees and sponsors. CBS Sports Radio 1300 is WJZ AM Baltimore, WJZ FM HD3, Catonsville, Baltimore. Online at cbsbaltimore.com.